Good morning, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to continue talking about art price, and I want to talk about how other businesses price their products, and perhaps it can help you because pricing a piece of art is extremely hard. There's not really a magic formula, and let's look at how other businesses do it. Perhaps it can inspire you in a way. In the business school, we learned that the most classic way to price a product or service is the cost of goods sold, or let's say the cost of the manufacturer, the cost plus your margin equals retail price. And perhaps you have seen this formula somewhere before. It can be very confusing, but it's not that confusing. Let's just give a very simple example. You buy this product in the market for $15 and you want to add 50% margin, and you sell it in another market to individual customers for $30. So you earn 15 and the margin is 50%. And I would say margin as 50% is quite classic, it's quite normal. An art gallery's margin is usually 50%. Of course, there are different, 40, 60, 50, 50, 30, 70, they're all different kind of scenarios, but 50-50 is quite normal. As an artist, your earning become the gallerist's cost. So for artwork sold in the gallery, 30,000, you get 15,000, they get 15,000, so their margin is 50%. And in the fashion industry, for a retailer like to sell clothes, their margin can be anything from 40% to 60%. And the larger retailers have a higher margin because they can buy wholesale from China and they can get really cheap, and then they move lots and they move to like developed countries and sell it, and perhaps they can get more than 60% as their margin. Anything is possible, but I would say 50 on the safe side is across industry. If you are interested, you can go and check out online. There are different data on the gross margin by sector, and for example this one. However, I would say it's very different when it comes to pricing your art. You can't really rely on this formula. For example, you go to buy some paintings for $15 and then you just brush it over a piece of paper and you can try to sell it for $1,500. From $15 to $1,500, there is a huge difference, and your margin is like over the roof. No wonder some of your potential customers can look at your work and say, "You're selling this for $1,500? You're crazy, like this is too much." And perhaps they have a point, because in any other industry, this is a lot. Your response could be, well, maybe I bought it for very cheap, the material, but it's the years of training and it's the years of my experience that made this piece of art worth this much. In the business language, what you're trying to say is that although your gross margin is very, very high, but your net margin is very low because you have to amortize the years of your training in the business school, or with a mentor or self-trained, and all this costs associated, you have to amortize it. So finally, the net profit is not much. And in another industry, for example, pharmaceutical industry, according to this data provided by the data services by NYU, in the biotech pharmaceutical sector, that although their gross margin is 70.71%, but the net margin is minus 1.61%. The difference between the gross margin and the net margin is the business overhead. In other words, it's the cost you spend not directly manufacturing this, but every other costs. For example, the research and development. For example, the payroll, the utility bills, the rent of your studio. It can be pretty much anything. But as an artist, it is very difficult to justify this kind of business overhead, because okay, you can say rent, you can say electricity bills, you can say other things. However, you can't say, for example, all your student loans and all other things that perhaps you took a trip to travel to find inspiration, but along the trip you took your partner with you or you took your family member with you, and then your accountant would tell you, sorry, that's not a business cost, it's not your business overhead, it is a private travel. So it's very difficult to justify which part is your private cost and which part is your business cost, especially when it has a lot to do with your personal experience, and usually your like student loan in art school is not amortizable, like you can't deduct it as a business cost because everybody had education is their own choice and you are personally liable. And at least in my case, my accountant refused me as a business to amortize my business school education because she said it is your choice, it is not directly 100% linked, so you can't amortize that. So yes, it's very difficult still to say what is your margin and defend your margin as your lawful, earning, as a righteous earning. It's just not really the right way, even in business perspective. So in the next video, I will talk about how to justify your price and how to, let's say, defend your price and use many different means. Okay, that's all what I want to say today. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.